Hi, in this week we will talk about different ways to divide an image into meaningful regions or segments. Segmentation is a complex and subjective process. There are many ways in which we can create groups of pixels on an image. For example, in this image, if we want to differentiate the objects from the background, we can just apply a threshold based on the intensity, and we will have two clear regions. Because of the intensity of the background is significantly lower than in the objects. However, in real applications, the distribution of pixel values is more heterogeneous, increasing substantially the difficulty to differentiate objects. Furthermore, when we segment an image, we might not be searching for objects, but just trying to divide the image into meaningful regions, whatever that means. In this image, for example, we might want to find the people in the scene. But in this other, we might want to find the water, the trees, and the sky. In both cases, using an intensity threshold won't work, because our goal is to group pixels that are similar in some way, but at the same time, the pixels in a region might share some characteristic with the pixels of another region. Then, the best approach will depend on the application and the image. But how do we humans do this? There is plenty of evidence that shows that our brain uses different levels of abstraction to identify certain features in the visual stream. But a really influential theory is the so-called Gestalt. The Gestalt school was founded in Germany and proposed the idea of the Gestalt Qualität to explain the visual perception. The Gestalt Qualität refers to the interrelationship between individual elements to construct a whole. Following this idea, the Gestalt theory emphasizes that the whole of anything is greater than its parts. Or in other words, the attributes of the whole are not deducible from the analysis of its parts in isolation. One well-known example of this phenomenon is the Mueller layer illusion. Here, the horizontal lines are in fact the same length, although the lower figure looks longer. Clearly, this effect arises from some property of the relationship that forms the whole, rather than from the properties of each separate segment. The Gestalt psychologists identify a series of factors which can predispose our perception to group elements. Some of the most common are the proximity. Tokens that are nearby tend to be grouped together. In this case, we can see pairs because the tokens are closer to each other. Similarity. Similar tokens tend to be grouped together. Here, the proximity doesn't matter, but tokens that look alike tend to be grouped together. Common fate. Tokens that have a coherent motion will be grouped together. Common region. Tokens that lie inside the same closed region tend to be grouped together. This also applies if there is any way of connection between tokens. Parallelism. Lines, curves, or tokens that lay next to each other in a parallel way will be grouped together. Symmetry. Curves that lead to asymmetric groups are grouped together. This can be lines or objects, as long as we can see some symmetric shape. Continuity. Tokens that lead to a continuous curve tend to be together. So here you can see that the lines intersect at different points, but our perceptions always will see the line that join up nicely instead of taking the sharp angle. Closure. Any token or line that close shape will be grouped together with the rest. In this case, we see that these lines might not be together, but because they lead to a closed shape, we will see it as a one thing. The Gestalt rules do offer some insight because they explain what happened in various examples and can be useful when designing a new algorithm. For example, continuity makes you see a shape that doesn't exist in these images, but also continuity might represent a solution for the problem of occlusion. Sections of the contour of an occluded object could be joined up by continuity. However, even the Gestalt psychologist has serious difficulties with the details, such as when one rule applies and when another. Okay, in this video we talk about segmentation, and we review the main rules of the Gestalt. See you in the next video.